Welcome to the stage, yada yada yada. There's supposed to be an intro here, but I don't have anything.
Ladies and gentlemen, get those dollars ready. Coming up next to the stage on the OtherGround podcast, it's your host, Passive J and Ryan.
It's rare for us to have technical difficulties. We haven't had that happen in a long time. So I don't know if you can hear me or not, Ryan, but I can't hear you. I'm assuming nobody else can either. How about you guys? The OG Army, I see you're forming up in the chat box. Can you hear Ryan or just me? All right. It's showing that he's online on my side.
So
okay,
I'm here. You're saying
there you are.
Okay.
No, okay. Yeah, I couldn't hear you before that point. If you put out any noise before that, I was unaware of it.
Well, son of a bitch. So let's just go back to this then.
Ladies and gentlemen, get those dollars ready. Coming up next to the stage on the OtherGround podcast.
Well, I don't hear
it's
anything.
Your host, Passive J and Ryan.
So things went horribly wrong. We need one of those little sign cards to put up in front of the video screen at this point that says, we're experiencing technical difficulties. Please stand by.
Wow.
See, we know Ryan's there.
Yeah,
okay, there he is.
I'm absolutely here. Apparently, you're not getting any samples to come through correctly, which is super weird.
No, we had so much new stuff too. Oh well. But anyways, I'm Passive J. That's Ryan over there. This is the OtherGround Live. I see the OG Army's forming up in the chat box. I always appreciate seeing you guys. So Ryan, how did your day go?
You know, it feels like a fucking Monday.
I can't imagine why. I have no clue what day it is. I'm barely aware of the seasons at this point. It's getting warm. That's all I can tell you.
Yeah, this whole, you not having to work thing, lucky you. But with me, yeah, the whole Monday or the whole Tuesday after a long weekend, like it just feels like everyone's trying to fit Monday into Tuesday, and they can all go down.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I can understand that. When I'm working, I have the opposite thing going on for holidays like this. I work Memorial Day, so while everyone else is getting a 3-day weekend, I'm getting a 1-day weekend, or sometimes a no-day weekend. Sometimes I just work the entire week straight. Depends on whether or not I can find somebody to work the Tuesday or not. But obviously not right now. They maybe mid-June, hopefully. I mean, because as much fun as this is to be off work and have absolutely nothing to fucking do, I can only imagine this is going to play hell on my taxes. I can only imagine what that's going to look like at the end of the year.
You actually pay taxes?
Yeah, not a ton. I have it. Well, not normally. I normally have it set up that I get it like last year we got $500 back, which I thought was fabulous. That means I did it almost exactly right. I don't want to get a big tax return back. That means I gave the government a loan at 0% interest for absolutely no reason. Some people don't look at it that way. They're like, "Yeah, I got a big tax return." I'm like, "Well, yeah, that's your money, though." So, but whatever. Like, I had to explain to my wife because she was used to getting a fairly large tax return back, and I said, "Well, that means you're just not doing your fucking thing. Your exemptions right. You don't want to get a big tax return back. Hypothetically speaking, when it happens, it's always nice, but we're not in a position where we're getting like a big tax exemption and rebates where you would actually be getting money back that you didn't pay in, like welfare people and such like that. So being the working class poor, I want to break even if I can.
Yeah, I was more so just talking about you actually, paying taxes. I just figure if you were a drain on society, you would be all around.
Oh yeah. No, I actually pay that shit. From what I understand, it's a poor idea not to. But that being the case, this year I don't think there's no way it's gonna be coming even. I'm sure I'm gonna have to owe a shitload of taxes. So I'm thinking about that in the back of my head for the next 6 months or so.
Well, best of luck with that.
Yeah, no kidding. So let's see. I do have topics as always. Let's see what I can bring up here. A few. My workout went pretty good today. It's always one of my favorites, which is bench press, chest workout, that sort of thing. I was happy to find out. At first, I was in trouble. You gave me, I think, 4 different exercises or maybe even 5 to do today. And I thought I was going to have to skip one of them because, one of the things you recommended was a lat pull down. Like, well, obviously I don't have a machine for that. So I went to the internet and tried to find other. By the way, your mic gain's up pretty high. I can hear you fumbling around and such like, and I normally can't hear that.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, yeah. But so I went to the internet to find a exercise I can do instead of a lat pull down, and it turns out a pull up is recommended as well. I'm like, oh, that's awesome! I have a pull up bar. I used to like doing pull ups. I could never do a ton of them, but I was routinely doing 3 to 5 sets of like. Start off with like I think I'd get up to 8 or 9, then like 6, and then 5 and 5 and 5 and 4. So I could never do a ton, but I could do a reasonable amount. So I went over to the pull-up bar, hopped on it, and could not do one fucking pull-up. Not one, dude. Not a single one. That's one of the more frustrating issues I've had since coming back here. Because while I knew it was not a strong point for me, because most people can do way more than 8 or 9 in their first attempt. I had started last time from being able to do fucking none. So I knew how much of a struggle it was to get up to that. So I almost skipped the lat pull down. I didn't think there was anything else I could do. I went on with my workout and did all the other things I was recommended. But at the end of the workout, I was frustrated about the entire thing. So I went back to the internet and found that, as it turns out, the bent over barbell row is also a good alternative for lat pull downs, and that's one of my favorite fucking lifts because I did that all the time when I was working out. So I threw that on to the end of my workout, ended up doing all the lifts that you recommended, and yay me.
Yeah, you really should be doing pull-ups as opposed to bent over rows. But if you can't do any, yeah, you may need to figure out some other way of doing it. You shouldn't be doing just a ton of bent over rows like multiple times per week. That pull down is really there for pull up.
Okay. Oh well. In this case, they were not dumbbell rows; they were barbell rows. If that makes any difference.
Not really.
Not much. Okay. Although I don't mind working the lat muscles more often than less. When I was in shape, it was since I liked doing bent over rows so much. It was one of the few parts that I was getting improvement on. And it doesn't take much to make you look bigger. I've noticed when you're working on the back area.
Yeah, but we're looking to like build you up the right way and not overloading like singular movement.
Right. I understand that. So, well, that's going to be the plan: is just do different workouts for the lat pulls until I can get back to doing multiple pull-ups again. So, but overall, I was pretty happy with the workout. Anyways, it was a long one. It went a little over an hour. I've noticed that you alternate some pretty widely. Some of my workout days are only 35, maybe 40 minutes, and some of them are a bit over an hour.
Yeah, it just depends on how quickly you move through things.
Yeah, I normally have everything on a timer. I get a minute and a half between each repetition, and then a minute and a half between lifts to like reset and if I have to stop and do something right quick, I'll do it between different lifts, obviously. But I do it that way because normally when I'm working, I'm in a hurry and I don't have time to dawdle. So being regimented and doing everything to exact timing keeps me going on a set pace.
Fair enough. But yeah, like
Right.
if you're on a time crunch, yes, it's fine to do that. If not, you should like learn just to kind of listen to your body and get things done as you need.
Okay, so you that preempted what I was about to ask you. You don't use any timers for your time between reps or anything like that.
Shit, no, man.
Okay, because at one point I did like 3 minutes between the reps when I was lifting a lot heavier. Then after that, I moved it down to 90 seconds because the 3 minutes didn't seem like it gave me much of an advantage over the 90. And I prefer less set, like I said, less time between sets than more when I can get away with it. If nothing else, it gives you more of a cardio workout. A lot of times into my workout, I will get into like the actual fat burning range and shit, like getting your cardio and heart rate up into like the 120s and such.
Yeah, see, this is something you'll just learn over time. And once you get to the point that you really understand your body, like at that point, you will just be able to self-regulate how long resting between sets.
Right, right. And I was getting some of that too as well. It turns out it was normally pretty close to that anyways. But at the time I was trying to make sure that I gave it the full 90 seconds because I didn't trust myself regulating, and obviously I didn't want to get into it too soon and cheat myself out of a set basically because I didn't rest enough in between it. So, but it's a learning process.
Yeah, you'll get there sometime. In your 60s, you'll actually be an intermediate lifter.
Yeah, I know. Since I started in my 40s. What do you want from me, man? I can't believe I haven't, like fucking broke a limb off or something like that yet.
Well, we haven't given you anything that difficult.
No, not yet. But oh, let's see. What do we got for old topics? Well, you got anything you specifically want to talk about before I go into the stupid shit that I thought of during the day?
I have absolutely nothing. Like I said, today was a gigantic pain in the ass where it seems everyone
Hmm.
decided they wanted to fill up the calendar because there wasn't a Monday to fucking fit 2 days worth of work into one.
Yeah, yeah, and it's amazing because well, no, actually, it's not amazing because this was sprung upon you guys suddenly, correct? Where you had no clue that you were only going to have 4 work days to work with this week, right? I mean, that has to be why all these people are running around like fucking idiots.
Obviously, I didn't find out until Monday morning that I didn't have to work.
Right. See, with us, that's not the nature of our job, obviously. If we're closed for a day for some reason or another, we just start back up the next day. We don't have like, extra rounds of golf that we have to pick up or extra meals that we have to make or anything like that. We just, we don't really break stride. And since it's not a for-profit business, it's, not a huge deal as long as it's not our fault. It's kind of weird working in a place that's not intending to make money. Uh, because of the nature of the company, basically the country club is owned by the members. And when you become a member, you receive ownership of part of the country club, a very small part, obviously. Yeah, and I can hear you typing. Yeah, did you change your setup or something?
No, so I restarted, and I think a lot of the settings that I had on this mixer
Mhm.
aren't
Right.
quite working the way that they normally do.
Okay, well, we'll struggle through it because obviously you don't want to restart the entire thing. We might not never ever get you back. But as I was saying, working at a place that's nonprofit in that nature, it's not a charity or anything like that, obviously. But since the people that use the business, the customers or the owners, things are set up weird. As I've mentioned before, like for instance, the restaurant's not set up to make money. It's actually loses money every year, and then they do an assessment at the end of the year to make up the difference. They do it that way so that prices can be set at what appears to be something reasonable, so they feel like they're getting value out of the club. So they'll still pay like 35 or 40 bucks for a steak dinner, but it's a steak dinner that would have cost them like 80 to $100 at a normal spot. That sort of thing.
Fair enough.
Yeah, but because of that, lots of things that would fuck up a regular business doesn't really affect our business. Like for the most part, if we can ever go back to work, it'll just be a shitty year for the club, and they're going to have to go back on some of their cash reserves to cover all the losses from the members not actually using the club because they do make money in certain areas and apply it toward the areas that they don't make money at. So it is better for the club to be used in general than not used. But basically, this means that we probably won't get a raise this year, and our holiday bonus might suck a little bit because a lot of members aren't going to give as much because they weren't there as much. But other than that, I think that's probably going to be the end effect of it on my particular work. And I feel bad because lots of people can't say that. This is really, really going to fuck up lots of businesses long term, and not just for the CEOs and the people that own the companies and things like that, because nobody is going to um, offset other people's loss with their own. Like these companies and CEOs aren't going to make less money next year. It's just that the employees probably won't get a raise next year, or if they normally got bonuses, maybe they won't get a bonus. That sort of shit, you know. So it's just sucks overall for almost everybody.
Yeah, like it's gonna be tire shocking. We're already kind of going everything down for everyone. Back to every
Right. And for me, it's been small things like my 401k is down like 25% in like 1 month. So, but it wasn't a huge amount, but still, that's thousands and thousands of dollars that's out of my 401k. Since I'm not retiring anytime soon, that doesn't really phase me because it's just a number until you cash it out, and I have no intention on cashing it out anytime soon. So I'm sure there's going to be like another upturn before I'm out of that game, so to speak.
But yeah, this would have actually been the time to up your contribution.
Right. Well, if I was at work, I might. Yeah, it wouldn't. That's actually not a bad idea. When we go back to work the next time, I'm not sure if they let you change it at any time, or if you have to, or if it's one of those things that you have to hit it at a certain time. But I should look into
No, you can
doing
do
that.
that at any time.
Okay, that's kind of what I thought.
Yeah, and I would suggest anyone who does it. COVID stock, your buying power basically all-time high right
Yeah. See, and the 401k, it's not as awesome as pensions were for most people. Unfortunately, that's kind of gone away. They even got rid of it at our country club. Although surprisingly enough, that within the last 5 or 10 years, I know people that had their pension cashed out for a 401k. They said basically, okay, we're not going to do pensions anymore for anybody who retires. Anybody who is eligible for a pension at this point, we will cash you out, and then they offered them basically a shitload of money and put it in their 401k for them. So most of the people I knew that had pensions didn't really complain, so it must have been a good number, although I don't know what it was. But if you work it right, it can be pretty good. The head bartender at work has been working there for at least as longer than I have. That's 15 years. And he's a younger guy. I think he's just now 40. So he started working at that place in his 20s as like the assistant bartender. And he was lucky enough to marry a pretty girl who was actually smart. And apparently, I don't know. Oh, yeah, she's some sort of scientist. She works in like a chemical lab or some shit like that, and makes fat cash. So the entire time that this guy's been working there, he's had like 50% of his check going into his 401k. Since it's a non-tip club, he makes a fair amount of money hourly anyways, plus a set amount of whatever tips that he meals that he would actually serve as a bartender, which is very little. But despite it's the fact that it's a non-tip club, he gets tipped the fucking all the time because he's the bartender. So in between like the cash that he's got rolling in on a weekly basis and the fact that he puts half of his fucking check into a 401k, he's doing all right. His wife's tried to convince him to fucking quit that job for years, but why would he? Right? He told me at one point, fuck. I mean, don't get me wrong. He's got a job that is basically a wait staff job. So you wouldn't think that they'd have much of a career to it. But he's got like a couple $100,000 in his 401k, maybe more than that.
That's actually not fun.
Well, I could be way off in the numbers, but he's been putting half of probably a $500 check into a 401k for like the last 18 years.
Well, yeah, and that's what people should be doing. Sitting there
Right.
doing the standard like 5%, not going to get you full retirement, especially if you don't have something.
Right, exactly. And I'm lucky enough that my work matches what I put up into it up to 5%. Like they don't match after that, but that's still a nice little bonus because I know a lot of companies don't do that at all.
Is that really every company? Well, every company I've ever worked at.
Right. But yeah, I guess. But I know I have talked to people that don't have that. I guess it depends on the company. I guess that's the definition of a shitty company as opposed to the standard of a good one at this point.
Right.
Yeah. But so yeah, I would like to work on other retirement plans. This being one of them, really. It'd be nice to be able to supplement my income with something that doesn't require kissing rich people's ass for the rest of my life. And even if it does, if I ever have to retire from that, this I can keep on doing until the day I die for the most part, or lose my senses, in which case I won't care really.
Now you're already halfway there.
Exactly. Oh, let's see, what else do we have today? Did you see the Central Park dog story? Do we want to talk about that? It's racist stuff again. I'm not really sure if I'm in the mood for it. Well, how about you?
No, somebody needs to kick that woman in the fucking uterus choking that dog like that. Other than that, I don't know about either side. They're both.
Right, exactly. Well, she's the one who's going to pay for it. She already lost her job and all that good stuff, and turned her dog into a shelter too. So I guess there was a silver lining.
Yeah, that dog. Yeah, watching that, I wanted to throw that one.
Oh, I didn't even watch the actual video. I couldn't do it. Well, when I saw the screen capture of her, like with the dog up in the air, I was like, well, okay, this is going to have a bias in the article. So I really should watch this video to have a better idea of the actual situation, but I couldn't do it. So I read the article, and the article is completely biased toward against her, obviously. And from the screen capture, that doesn't bother me in the least bit. But I'm sure the actual situation is somewhere more in the middle of what that article said. Yeah.
Yeah, they were both choking the dog that way fucking never having.
Okay, well, like I said, I didn't watch the actual video. The article said that she called the police and said that he was threatening her life. Did at any point he physically threaten her?
No, he said something about like he'll take care of something, some innuendo. Yeah, there was never
Okay,
like
so
an explicit threat.
okay, well, he shouldn't do that. That's not right. An innuendo of a threat's basically a threat, anyways. That's basically a mealy mouth threats where you can cover your bases, and so you can't get in trouble for it later. That's as far as I'm concerned. If you said, well, I'll take care of that later or something like that, you're threatening me. That's not enough of a threat to call the cops, really. I mean, at that point, she could have called up and said that she was worried for her safety. That would be completely valid. But to say he threatened her life off that, that's an exaggeration. So both of them did bullshit stuff. He made a mealy mouth threat that he could plausibly deny, and she greatly over exaggerated something he said to her to make it something that was, and that part of the article is right. In certain areas and stuff, that is a life threatening situation that she's putting that gentleman in. Because while I believe 99.9% of cops are good people, depending on the situation, they're coming in thinking that's the guy threatened someone's life. That's not cool. Okay, well,
It could end up like the whole thing that happened in Minnesota with dumbass cop that got fired, had it right into a guy's neck, dying.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Hey, Tanner, how you doing, boss?
Hey, what's going on?
Oh, you're
Jesus
really.
Christ. Hey, Dalton, you had a rough day today, you contrary motherfucker.
Apparently.
You were fucking low energy today, dude.
I could go off on some random rant and just start yelling, but I think I'd blow some eardrums. Apparently. My phone gain is terrible right now.
All you got to do is say fuck every other word for like 36 words.
Yeah, I don't want to pull you.
Have you been listening, Tanner?
Yeah, I've heard some of the shit. I didn't watch the cop with the knee in the neck, so I can't comment on it. I read some comments from that thread that said the guy was blatantly an asshole and deserves everything he gets. So, but I didn't watch the video. I did watch the video about the chick with the dog and the other dude, and yeah, the way she was throwing that dog around by its fucking neck was she was a little unhinged. So you said that she lost her job and she had to give up her dog?
Well, apparently the give up the dog part was voluntary. She voluntarily gave up her dog, which doesn't surprise me because obviously she's not really a big fan of the dog in the first place.
I think by voluntary they meant that they were contacted about it, back out to her. I think there's just a difference of forcibly taking or voluntarily giving it up.
Right. Yeah, that's like a mental hygiene order here in New York State. They call it a voluntary mental hygiene transport, but it's not fucking voluntary. You're going.
Yeah. So a couple questions for you. First off, you saw the video. Did what he say constitute a threat under law?
I didn't hear a threat. From the video I saw, he started filming after the confrontation had already begun. And she was saying, you threatened me, or she called the cops and said she's being threatened by an African American or whatever. So he started the video late. So he very well may have said something that set her off or set her into a tizzy.
Ryan,
But
you said
then
Ryan saw the video. Ryan, do you recall what he said exactly?
No, so that part wasn't in the video. There was in the thread where I think
Oh Jesus!
posted, like, the entire
Now I can
thing.
barely hear you, dude.
God.
You're completely gone now. Okay, why don't you try resetting your stuff while me and Tanner go over it a little bit? You got a minute, Tanner, to hang out so that he can try to fix his shit.
How do
yeah,
we
we'll
sound
let
now?
low energy take care of his shit.
Yeah, no
How do we
kidding.
sound now?
Okay, so that's a little bit better. Yeah, that's. What do you think, Tanner? How's he sound?
Can you say do re mi fa sol la ti do?
Big, great, fantastic shaved balls.
That
Okay, well-
sounds better than you. Actually, you sounded right from the jump street. You sounded different today. When the show started, you had like a weird echo, like you were a caller, like you're talking off of headphones, like me. And now it sounds completely better, way better than it was when you first started the show. I thought maybe you changed your mic or something when you started the show because you sound completely different, kind of like weird, like you were talking through a tin can.
So
I'll be honest,
figured it
both you
out.
guys sound quiet to me.
Well, I at least figured out my part is I had to install a camera for a web conference earlier, and I think the mic on that was picking up some sort of weird interference, so I just unplugged it. So if we're better, we're better. I don't think tenor doesn't sound soft to me.
Okay, and I don't see two.
Oh, that's because I'm hard as a rock.
Okay, now you sound distorted but louder, and you know what? Fuck it. Let's just keep on going. It'll sort itself out. I'm sure that people don't want to hear us talk about our technical difficulties. Yeah. Now we can't hear Ryan at all. But anyways, Tanner,
I just want to shoot this shit, boys.
Jesus Christ, does nobody have a mic that works now? Okay, now my question for you, Tanner, is if the guy had said, yeah, I'll be back to do something about that. I think that's what the quote was, or something similar to that. Would that constitute a threat to you?
You can't off of just quoting somebody on paper, or you quoting it over a podcast. That gives me no context.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like there's certain ways that you articulate certain things in certain circumstances that either constitute it as a threat to you or not. You know what I mean? So just saying I'll be back to take care of that. Well, you're gonna take care of what? You're gonna change the tire on my bike. You're gonna take care of the dog. What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Or you get into a heated confrontation, and all of a sudden she says, you know, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Punch me in the face? Well, I'll be back to take care of that. There's some context there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
that means
the actual the transcript of this, right, is the guy says, "Man, dogs in the ramble have to be on a leash at all times. The sign is right there." She says, "The dog runs are closed. He needs exercise." He comes back with, "All you have to do is take him on the other side of the drive outside the ramble, and you can let him run off the leash all you want." He says, "That's too dangerous." He says, "Look, if you're going to do what you want, I'm going to do what I want, but you're not going to like it." And she says, "What's that?" And then he tries to call the dog.
Yeah, that's and you said it very calmly, and I would say that's fairly threatening.
Okay, now does that justify her calling the cops and saying that a black man threatened my life? I think she said African American guy threatened my life.
First off, you can't ever tell somebody how they should take something or how they should feel about something. If she's feeling, and this is going to be like this whole psychological, kind of getting into cop and victim shit, you can't tell somebody who perceives himself as a victim how to feel. Now, in my personal opinion, was she way over the fucking top just based on what I saw of the interaction? I didn't see what Ryan said, what the quotes were, but from what he quoted and what I saw as the guy's demeanor when I saw the piece of the video that I saw, I would say, yes, she fucking took it way overboard. However, you also have to, when you're looking at things objectively, you have to take in her mental mind frame, her life experiences. She could have been fucking raped. She could have been beaten. She could have been in domestic violence situations. So all these things you have to take into account. Where as a third party bystander, just seeing an incident, you can't say, "Well, she took it way out of proportion." Well, we don't fucking know her. You know what I mean?
Okay, and I'll be honest, after Ryan giving me the exact quote, my sympathies swing toward her just a little bit because, as far as I'm concerned, the guy threatened her dog. He basically said, I'm going to fuck up your dog, and then started calling her dog. And that's not cool in the least bit. That might not, I can't say that feels threatening to my life, but I would definitely be in a life-threatening altercation there in a second.
Yeah. I just, like I said, you have to. We tend to look at things very subjectively. Would I have called the cops? Would I have freaked out like that? No. But I have certain life experiences that deem what my demeanor would be. And I can't necessarily look at her and say, well, she went ape shit for no reason. Well, we don't know what the hell she's been through in her fucking life, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's understandable. So once again, and it's funny for me reading an article and not watching the video because the article is so biased right off the bat. I can tell that no matter what they're saying, that the truth is definitely somewhere in the middle. That being the case, it's hard to like her voluntarily giving up her dog or having her dog taken away from her. Good, that's what should happen to her. I honestly don't think she should lose her job for that kind of shit, though, and it's already happened. So it's a done deal.
It's a PR thing. A company has no loyalty to you as a human.
Yeah, see, I've always been of the case that what you do outside of work, as long as it doesn't directly invoke your company, like if she worked for Procter and Gamble and said something like, "I work for Procter and Gamble, and this African American man is threatening me," somehow invoked their business and involved them with it. If they haven't done that, I don't really think it's fair that companies can fire you for shit that's got nothing to do with your job.
Right. Well, that's self-preservation. That's a CYA thing for them. I understand where they're coming from, but I'm of the belief that is society any better because now we have one more unemployed person? No one should lose their ability to take care of themselves financially over a fucked up mistake or a fucked up confrontation or a slip of the tongue. I'm not saying these were anything that have to do with her, but when people, like a lot of people were talking, my mom is a huge animal rights activist, and she went down to New Orleans after Katrina and started saving all the dogs from New Orleans. And she started New Orleans No Kill, which is a big non-for-profit organization that helps dogs not get euthanized down there. So when that whole thing with Michael Vick came about, when everybody would ask my opinion on that, I'm like, well, the dude, when he was coming back into the NFL after serving his time, and they're saying, well, that's bullshit. They shouldn't let him play football. Well, you know what? The dude served his time. You shouldn't take away his ability to financially make a living because he fucked up, in my opinion. And that might be people might not agree with me there, but he did his time.
No, I agree with you 100%. I think the guy's a dickhead, and I hope horrible things happen to him. But he has every right to make his way in life. He's already paid for his crime. If you don't like the fact that he paid enough, well, address that to the legal system, not to the person that was the recipient of the legal system.
Right. I'm not a big fan of this whole cancel culture shit for mistakes that people made or something they said in a fit of rage, because I say a lot of stupid shit in fits of rage, and that could be me at some point.
Yeah, okay. What do you think, Ryan?
Getting us all fired.
Yeah, you think so? I don't know, but what do you think, Ryan? Do you think that there are justifiable times for someone to be fired for doing something that was not considered legally a crime?
No, I don't agree with it. The problem is it's not about what is right. It's what impacts a company's bottom line. So if you are a PR problem, they're going to just cut bait, and it has nothing to do with right or wrong. It has to do with ones and zeros.
Right, but when did it suddenly become a PR problem? People have committed crimes and been assholes.
Social media. Yep.
Jeez, and God, I hate to say it because I love social media, but God, that is a fucking curse of it, really, because people have been assholes their entire life. Companies didn't start firing for it just because they are associated with it. I mean, 20 years ago, when someone did something stupid, you'd never even consider asking where the guy fucking worked. It had nothing to do with the matter.
Well, yeah, I
Right.
mean, 30, 40 years ago, Uncle Fred says something super racist. There's not LinkedIn that you can find out where he works. And then there's not Twitter from there for the pitchforks to come out and dominate their timelines until they have to do something.
Yeah, yeah, and it's sad. I mean, it shouldn't be like that. As I mentioned before, if you have not done something legally wrong, well, you're just an asshole, and karma will get back to you in other ways. But I don't think that people should have like that type of ramifications financial wise if legally in the court of law they didn't do something, and if they did something in the court, legally in a court of law, well, then they'll take care of that shit too. You shouldn't get involved in that matter either.
Yeah. Regardless, though, like Ryan said, it's about the company's bottom line and the ones and zeros.
Yeah, that's very
And
true.
and this is where we're at. It doesn't matter what you think, Jay, or what I think. Probably everybody that does this shit thinks the same thing if it would happen to them. But the bottom line is, this is where we're at. This is the mess we've created with fucking social media, with social justice, with racism in all facets, mainly against fucking white people. But people of color can't be racist against white people, right? Because they're never in a position of power to be racist. This is the shit that we're telling the youth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's not only is it accepted to be racist towards whites, it's lauded. It's applauded.
Yeah, and being a white guy living in Detroit, I've ran into racism. I can tell you 100% true. Because people, it's because they can't be racist because they're never in a place of power. Well, then you've never met a lot of black people, because a lot of them are in positions of power, if not economically, at least at the moment, so to speak. But yeah, which is also stupid on other levels, because there's all kinds of financially successful businessmen and women that are black. Detroit wouldn't be around if it wasn't for a lot of them. But I do believe that for the most part, it's less of a problem, just because numerically speaking, it has to be less of a problem. There's more white people than black people, so obviously more white people oppress black people than black people oppress white people. It's just math.
Yeah, you lost me.
Check this situation. Check this story out that I got for you guys. Check this story out that I sat on a hiring board last year for a clinical counselor. So I sat on the hiring board. Okay. So I got all these cover letters, resumes, diversity statements from every applicant on why they should get the job. So I go down and I rate them. I threw myself into it. When I do something, I want to do it well. I don't want to half-ass it. So I spent tons of extracurricular time, hours, poring over all these applicants, rating them on certain things, making notes on them. So I go in and we're going to talk about the applicants, and the lead clinical counselor who's heading this group up says, okay, well, we don't have a lot of diversity in the pool. There's a lot of white males, and we're really looking for a female, preferably a female of color. And then she keeps hammering this down. We want to do this as legally and as ethically as possible, blah, 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 blah. And she throws those buzzwords out multiple times throughout this spiel. Legally, ethically, legally, ethically. A lot of white males, this is what we're looking for. And then finally she comes out and she says, now I asked my higher up, if the best candidate for the job is a white male, could I go ahead and make that job offer? And she said no. And everybody sat there. There was white people on the board. There was women on the board. There was black people on the board. And she said, and I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, wait a minute. And I raised my hand, and I put myself out there. Maybe sometimes I shouldn't, but when something's wrong, it's wrong. And I said, I can't believe that you sit here and talking about doing this legally and ethically, and you basically just told us that we're eliminating a whole category of people based on gender and race. I said, I couldn't imagine if you sat here and said, well, Jim Smith looks good on paper, but he's a black male. We got enough of them. We don't need no more of them around here. I said, I couldn't imagine you saying that, and you wouldn't. How is this any different? And everybody looked at me and actually agreed, but I'm the only one that would fucking say it, because fuck them.
Well, what you're talking about is it's the diversity, no offense.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like, we're going to do
it
this
is
ethically, and we're going to do it in relation to our company guidelines, but there's always a but.
Yeah, man. And I was the butt. I was the ass because I fucking brought it up and I stepped down. And
it's
I
such
was
a
willing
nice,
to deal
pert little
with
one.
any. Yeah, I was willing to deal with the repercussions. See, that's what I don't get. Racism is racism on any fucking level. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter if it's towards whites, towards blacks, towards Native Americans. It doesn't fucking matter. But social media and leftist ideas, and I know you're kind of left wing, and I don't get too political. This is about as political as I get, but this really caught me wrong. Has taught society that it's okay. It's all right to be racist towards white people because we can't be racist. They're in the position of power, and that fucks me up.
Well, we've gotten to the point where everything has to have its fucking quota, and you're catching it right there on the extreme of basically, yeah, we have enough white people. We need to kind of hit some of our other demographics here to make it look like we care. It's the same thing that was happening in reverse with a lot of like the Ivy League schools where they stopped letting in Asians because there's too many of them.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and that's bullshit. Yeah, once again, it should be 100% merit. If that means our colleges are filled with Asians and Indian students, well, fucking A. They're better at it than we are. Yeah, I don't think there should be any kind of, requirements or what's the word I'm looking for? It should just be a free for all. Whoever's the best at it. That's how it works for athletics. They don't all of a sudden say, oh well, yeah, we've got too many white guys playing baseball. We're gonna get rid of a whole bunch of them and put in black guys. I know you guys thought it was gonna go with a different direction with that.
Yeah. No, it should always be the best person for the job based on merit performance.
Right, exactly.
And it's clearly it's not. But that's my political rant. I'm sorry, guys. It's about as political as I get. I usually get pissy when you guys get super political, so I apologize for bringing that shit up. But yeah, it just strikes me as completely wrong and how our society's really fucked up, among other things.
Well, you're just talking about it from just a logical standpoint. It makes complete sense. Like the only time that you can look at kind of diversity and using it as a deciding factor is if you have two candidates that have essentially the same experience. And there is something to be said of having like a different voice in the room or a different background in the room, but that doesn't really take the place of like actual skill.
No, you're right, and that's perfectly fine. If they're candidates of equal skill and experience, and you want to go with one that you have less of, that's perfectly fine. In that case, it is a good idea to give somewhat the minority a chance over the white guy, basically, because they shouldn't be given extra chances because they're minority for a reason. They have disadvantages. It's 100% true. It's not like they're coming from a place where they're lying about all this shit about having less opportunities. That's true. They do have less opportunities. So I have no problem at all where with everything else being equal, giving them the chance. It's just, like you said, it shouldn't be reverse racism that accomplishes that.
Yeah, and I understand what you're saying with reverse racism, but there's no such thing, man. It's fucking racism.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I get what you're saying. I'm not trying to chastise you, but racism is racism. There's no reverse anything. It's fucking racist. Right.
All right, let's change the subject, guys, a little bit. Something a little bit more lighthearted. Did you guys see? Okay, you guys are aware of what the Justice League Snyder cut, correct?
Nope.
No, I'm not a comic book guy.
Okay, this is a movie thing. You guys have all seen that horrible bomb of a movie, Justice League, before, correct?
Negative.
I've never seen Justice League. I've seen it, but I've tried to keep it out of my mind.
Okay. One of the reasons people say that it sucks so bad is because the director, Zack Snyder, had to, I can't remember the exact circumstances, but had to leave halfway through the movie, and they brought in Josh Whedon to like totally redo and remake the movie. So he reshot a whole bunch of shit and finished up the movie. Supposedly there is a Zack Snyder rough cut that's been lying around for years that people claim is way, way better. That's neither here nor there. What I wanted to talk about today was the fact that apparently this Zack Snyder cut that they're going to finish and release is fucking 4 hours long.
Well, you're a nerd. You'll watch it.
How much?
Yeah,
I don't know about that.
You fucking dorks will cream in your jeans over that shit. Buy the special edition disc and everything.
Well, I'm not a huge DC fan in the first place, but the first movie was routinely described as fucking horrible. How much better can the recut? Because you got to remember, it's the same movie, which is, I would assume, the same basic plot. They couldn't have had that. I mean, I was going to say they couldn't have had that much that they could change. But on the other hand, they're coming up with a fucking 4-hour movie. How much was cut out of this movie to make the first one? Holy shit! Because the first movie was like an hour and a half.
Did the original director, what's his name, the Snyder guy? Did he get fired or something?
I think so. I can't. I should know this stuff. I'm a nerd.
Well, if he got fired, it's completely plausible that they fucking cut it and chopped it up just to tank the movie to make him have to fuck him up in his career. I mean, stranger things have happened.
Right. Well, let's find out.
I think the only way they can really improve that piece of shit is if like the additional 2 hours is roughly an hour and 45 minutes of Gal Gadot's ass, and that's it.
Mm.
Oh, is that Wonder Woman chick?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's a good-looking woman.
Apparently, there's a couple reasons. The main reason being that his daughter killed herself, which so it's a sad thing. But apparently the studio had been giving him problems during the entire movie, that they wanted the film to have more humor, more like the Marvel films, and he wanted something like a darker, grittier look. So after his daughter died and he left the project, they brought in Joss Whedon, who does that kind of movies, and which is how you ended up with what you had. All this being the case, it might not be a bad movie altogether. They're saying that they gave, on the chat box, Archie said they gave him money to reshoot stuff, so it's not just a recut. But he's also saying it's probably going to be a fucking suck because Snyder's a hack. So I guess we'll see how it goes.
I just think it's going to suck because everything DC has been god awful.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And the funny thing is, everything from Fox, there's like 3 levels to it. Marvel pretty much hits it out of the park every time. Even their worst movies, like a 6 or a 7, and most of them are 8 or 8 and up in my book. Then you have the Sony version of Marvel, which is a lot more hit and miss. That's where the X-Men movies come into play, the Spider-Man movies before the ones that they're doing with Marvel. The Fantastic Four movies, which were routinely all fucking horrible, both the old ones and the remake. So they're a lot more iffy. Like the Venom, I haven't seen it yet, but Venom's like from Sony as well, because apparently way back when they paid not much money and got the rights to a whole bunch of Marvel's different characters. It's funny though, they, as good as Sony did, they could have done better. And I'm not going to have the right numbers correctly. But I believe Marvel, the comic book, not the Marvel movie people, offered Sony the rights to all of their shit for like $20 million. And Sony said, yeah, most of your shit we're not interested in. We'll give you like $12 million for the X-Men and Spider-Man and a couple other characters, which is why Sony has like maybe 8 or 9 or 10 Marvel characters that they have rights to, and the sub rights to all the characters that are involved with those characters instead of everything, because they didn't want to pay like another $8 million. Yeah. So
I guess I don't know much about that stuff.
Yeah. Well, so it's a case of, well, they made a good deal, but they passed up ended up being a far better deal down the road. Yeah. Okay. Sweet. So sorry. I thought I knew that one was a long shot. In other news, I'm dog proofing my house for the summer weather. As I've mentioned before, we have a couple dogs and window air conditioning. And now that it's getting hot, I don't want to leave the door open for my dogs to come and go. I have a door here in my den that opens up into the breezeway, and the breezeway has a door that has one of those mesh screens on it, so the dogs can just push their way in and out, and so I don't have to worry about bugs getting in, but I don't have to go open the door for them. Now that it's getting hotter, I don't want to keep this door to my den to the breezeway open, because we're going to be letting all the air conditioning out. However, I'm not always back here, and we want the dogs to be able to go in and out. So what we came up with, and I'm sorry for the ghetto-ness. You guys can make fun of me in advance if you like now, or I can actually explain it. You ever been into like a commercial supermarket with a walk-in freezer or anything like that?
Are you talking about the plastic strips that hang over it?
Yes, goddamn right. I just ordered some today. They'll be back. They'll be on Sunday.
God damn it, Jay! Why didn't you just get a goddamn dog door? They don't cost that much. They're not that hard to install.
Well,
Jesus fuck.
Because wait, this is cheap too. It's like, I think it was like $80. You know, there's like a little track that you hook into the door frame above it, and it's like 4 foot by 7 foot, and you hang the little strips up there, and it'll work perfect.
God damn it, Jay!
The door is still only going to be cracked open a little bit for them to get it out. I think between the door not being barely open and the strips, it'll work out pretty good. Because there's no way I could install a dog door. I don't have any dog door tools.
Hire one of the fucking Mexicans you work with.
You have to make a sign.
Yeah, what's that, Tanner?
Someone's got to make a sign to put above it. Put like a ice cold beer sign right above the plastic strips that hang down.
Or maybe
or beer cave or whatever. That'd be fucking awesome.
Yeah. See, I mean, you got to remember it's going into my breezeway, which is already pretty beat up from the water damage and the other things that happened to it before I got the house. So it's not like it's going.
That's where you lift, right?
Yeah, that's where I lift. Yeah.
Yeah.
So which is one of the reasons why one of the many reasons I work out before I go to work, because it's not air conditioned or cooled or anything like that. So I want to get in there before it gets too hot. You know, there's not a chance in hell I'll be able to go there after work and when it's like 85 degrees in there and shit. Normally when I work out around 5 a.m. or so, it's somewhere between 68 and 75 in there most of the time, which is hotter than I like it, but it's still, not horrible yet.
How hot was it where you live today, guys?
About 85 or something like that, I think. It was pretty warm. I'm sorry, it's 90 right now, actually. 90, it's warm today.
Yeah, I think it hit
fucking 97 here.
Christ.
Ooh,
I think it only hit like
dude,
just over 80 here.
Yeah.
Yeah, 97 here today. It's fucking hot. Try wearing a bulletproof vest and a black uniform in this bullshit.
Damn, I always thought that people that had to work outside on a semi-regular basis should be able to wear a lot lighter uniforms. The valets at our work all wear black t-shirts and shit. I'm like, that's fucking horrible. Couldn't they have picked any other color for you guys? Any color.
It's absolutely horrible. Yeah. But I did construction in Florida for a long time, so I'm like, the heat doesn't bother me that much. So I'm definitely not complaining because I was bitching about the snow we got and the sleet and rain and bullshit we had for 3 weeks straight. So I definitely am not. I'm not bitching, but I am just observing that it's pretty fucking hot today.
Yeah. Me and the wife are looking ahead in the weather schedule to decide whether or not we want to turn off the heat on the hot tub and suddenly turn it into a pool. Because today when we got in after my workout, we could already tell that it's just not comfortable once it gets warm enough. If it's 80 degrees out and you get into 104 degree water, while I'm sure it still has the therapeutic properties on your muscles, it's not comfortable anymore. It's not. I was out of there in like 10 minutes.
Where is Mrs. Passive J right now?
Watching TV, probably fucking with the dogs. That's what she.
Get that little cupcake to call in. I want to talk to her.
maybe on a different show.
She said she sent me a PM and said that she's heard many good things about me.
Yeah. I've talked to her about you before, explaining the show and such. Yeah. No. She said she keeps on saying she's going to call in one of these times. I'm discouraging it, but eventually I think it's just going to happen. There's nothing I can do about it. At first, I enjoyed her listening to the show. Then for a while, she stopped listening, and I enjoyed that more because a lot of times I don't think about what I say, and sometimes it's not shit I probably should be saying in front of her. But lately she's been listening to the show again, so I need to watch myself.
I've got to go in a whole nother fucking room.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and which is what I should be doing, but it's a small house, and I can't close this door, otherwise the dogs can't get past it to use the restroom. So yeah, she can listen to me do half the show live most of the time. So I can understand why she probably doesn't listen to or rewatch the show afterwards.
All right. Well, you let her know that I was talking about her. I was asking about her.
All right. Maybe I'll have her call in tomorrow. Shit, dude, we got a couple more minutes. You guys got a topic you want to cover before we get out of here? We can always go to my mailbag of stupid fucking topics.
Well, I, for one, am actually surprised that you don't have like a super ghetto above ground pool.
Well, that's what the hot tub's going to turn into here, apparently, here in a couple weeks. Because we'll still run the filter and chlorinate it, and basically it'll just turn into a little tiny pool. I wonder, obviously it won't have quite the therapeutic value of not being as hot before, but if we run the bubbles and stuff, maybe I will still enjoy a good soak. I'm not sure. What do you think? Would it,
it has
if you remove the heat,
therapeutic value without the heat. That's what the heat's for.
Yeah,
that's why it's sauna's good for you.
Right, that's what I figured. Because she's like, well, just turn the heat off. I'm like, well, yeah, no. I mean, I suppose I can go a couple months without it as the therapy, because I can understand her not enjoying it in the least bit. But I'm kind of thinking maybe we would just go ahead and fucking leave it on, and just if she wants something that wants a pool that bad, just get a fucking little pool or some shit like that.
If you do, it has to be the most ghetto, like duct tape together pool of all time.
Have you seen? It's not ghetto, but those makeshift. The new thing is do-it-yourself cargo container pools, which I don't understand. What's the big rage about making everything out of a cargo container? They're not. I mean, they're just a big steel box. They're nothing special.
I have not heard of this.
Oh yeah, well you've heard of the cargo container houses and things like that, right?
Yeah. I haven't heard of it being a pool.
Yeah, I've seen that. Now. It was basically like 2 or 3 of them hooked together, like 2 of them side by side, and then like a third one off to the side. So it made like a T. And it looks, and then they just cut out some of the walls and shit like that to make it bigger. There's actually here in Detroit a couple cargo container apartments or houses that they're doing right now. I think the first set of them are already done. I'm not sure how much success they're going to have in that, but there are people trying it as like a viable housing community.
This is when like the way that we live in this country, pretty fucked up.
Yeah. Let's see, Detroit. Oh, I'm sorry. They're called shipping containers, I suppose, as opposed to cargo containers. Detroit Shipping Company. It's an actual thing. Let's see what pops up here. Well, I'll give you guys all the details. Detroit Shipping Companies. Oh, you know what? This is something different. This is a restaurant. My bad. Okay, we won't go into that today. That's probably too late for me to do research on the fly. You guys got anything else?
No. I wanted to cheer Dalton up because he was so low energy today.
Well, apparently it was just the way that everything was fucking hooked up. So that was fucked.
It has nothing to do with you and your fucking attitude at all.
Hey, my attitude is fucking wonderful, okay? I don't have issues. I don't cry after the fucking show. Wait, what?
Nice.
Okay. We're gonna go let Dalton take care of his anger issues. I think it's because we never heard him open a White Claw. I think that's what the deal is.
You know what? With the way that the fucking show started and nothing worked, I have a White Claw sitting here that I didn't even open. God damn.
See? That the show was cursed from the start. All right. I would like to thank Tanner for calling in. I always appreciate it, buddy. My co-host Ryan. I'd like to thank the OG Army for showing up. We can't do a show without you guys. We'll be back tomorrow at 6. Ryan, you got anything?
Yeah, I got 2 fucking things. So tomorrow we need to make our picks for the fights this weekend, which none of us know who any of these fucking people are.
I know nobody. It's not even fun when you don't know who the fuck they are.
Just pull up the pictures and go based on tattoos.
I go by what their ethnicity is. There's a good joke a guy told once. He was talking about boxers. I think it might have been Chris Rock. He said that for the toughness of a boxer is based on their ethnicity and how much they've been oppressed. He goes, because for every white guy out there that's a good boxer, there's a black guy out there ready to whip his ass. For every good black boxer, there's a Mexican guy about to take him out. And for every good Mexican boxer, there's an American Indian ready to rail that motherfucker.
Did we not just spend half the fucking show on racism, Jay? Jesus Christ.
It's not
full
my
circle.
Joke. It's not
full circle.
Hey, playing Chris Rock. You guys have. What else do you got, Ryan?
Other than that, I just have one other thing, and then hopefully the sampler will work now that I unplugged that fucking camera. But fuck all y'all.
You guys have a great night. We'll see everyone tomorrow.
Screw you, hippie!
It worked!